turning 45 here in a month, and I just decided back in February, I was really burnt out on the corporate world. I've worked for multiple Fortune 500 companies throughout my career, super stressful positions, and just at the end of the day, I wasn't happy.
Greetings. Hello. This is John Hanley, and welcome to Giant Task. Now, this podcast is designed to help you navigate your questions, your answers, and your strategy around marketing. How can you become a marketing powerhouse within your personal brand? And with me, as always, is the one and only Thad Bargman. That is founder and creator of Theme Park Giant.
Hey, John, how's it going?
Going well, going well. Hey, so let's pretend this isn't the first episode of our podcast, but what is Theme Park Giant for all of the folks joining us?
Sure. So, Theme Park Giant is my new endeavor in life. I left my career in software engineering, software development for 20 plus years recently. I just decided with my passion for theme parks and roller coasters, I've traveled all over the world. I've ridden over 500 different roller coasters in my life. And I just have a huge passion for it. It's my hobby my entire life, and I just decided I wanted to get into more content creation, and I'm centering everything around that. So, Theme Park Giant is a
Cool.
YouTube channel. It's a TikTok. It's Instagram and Facebook. Maybe Twitter soon, but we're just kind of building those things out as we go.
We're building the plane as we fly it, so to speak,
Yes.
which is what marketing is for a lot of folks, and hopefully we can help some people along the way. But let's talk about what prompted you to do this, because
hmm
I know it's your passion, but that's a big deal to get to that point where you commit.
Yep.
So what led you to that?
I think a few things. So, first thing was I've always wanted to be in Florida. Um, and you know that. You've known me a long time, but
Right.
I've talked about it since I was like 18. I'm turning 45 here in a month, and I just decided back in February, I was really burnt out on the corporate world. I've worked for multiple Fortune 500 companies throughout my career, super stressful positions, and just at the end of the day, I wasn't happy. And, I made good money, I had good benefits, I could basically do what I wanted, travel, but like at the end of the day, I wasn't happy in my day to day life. And so I just started thinking about what can I do? Um, and one of the things during the pandemic that I got into was watching YouTube. And I found a lot of these Central Florida theme park vloggers that I didn't even know this existed until like 2020. Um, I followed a lot of like websites and message boards in the past, but never really did much with watching videos. So that was a whole new like eye-opening experience to me that here's a whole world I didn't know existed. So the last couple years, it's just been something that's weighed on me. I've always been interested in like the old travel channel shows and things like that. And I mean, we can probably get into that story a little later, but because I did have them reach out to me years ago in kind of a strange story. But so yeah, it started about 3 years ago with this current, idea, and just been slowly working towards that. Because I like to play around with technology, obviously, being in the tech industry. So just things I've done over the past few years, because I lived in Iowa my entire life. We should probably start with
Yeah,
that. But
we're both from Iowa. Yeah.
yes,
So
originally, and now neither of us live there. But
correct.
so I'd lived in Iowa my whole life. I hate winter. I'm just completely over it. And so the last few winters, I gave myself kind of a technical side project to mess with. And one of them, one year, I wanted to build a Twitch platform
Okay.
and just see if I could do it. Build out like we're using OBS right now. Some of the things I built with that in the past. So like it was good experience doing those things, but like so just I like getting into things like that. So
Yep.
it was kind of that next logical step was like, well, if I'm doing this, maybe I can tie it into one of my favorite hobbies. And then learning this whole new worlds out there. So I wanted to mess with it.
Sure.
So yeah, back in February, I just decided, I think I'm going to put my house on the market, and just start looking, and figured out how I could get more liquid with money, just because I'm going to not make any money here for a while, I'm sure. But yeah, sold my Air Jordan collection, which about, things like that. So like, I mean,
Okay,
I'm
we could
all in on
probably we
this.
could probably get a handle for the rest of the Air Jordans and promote them on here.
Yeah,
If
we,
you
we
want to.
might need that money here soon.
Yeah,
So no, but yeah,
yeah,
so I think just finally being in a place where could be financially stable enough, for a year and a half to actually go do something and not have to even
sure.
worry about that. So once I figured that plan out, it was just a matter of getting the house on the market, finding a place down here, and it's been a crazy 2-3 months.
Yeah,
But I've been down here, 6 weeks now. I'm pretty
yeah,
settled in. And yeah, we're really starting to get going
cool.
now here with the content creation a little
Yeah.
more.
So let me ask a couple of follow-ups
Hmm.
because in marketing, there's no shortage of ideas.
Right.
And somebody might have an idea, somebody might think they have a business case, somebody might have a project. And you obviously had an idea prompted by the pandemic. So my first question is, do you think, in your experience, the pandemic caused people's viewing habits on videos to change? They changed for you, obviously, but do you think that occurred?
I think so. And yeah, I know I'm probably biased because mine
Sure.
did. Like, I don't even watch TV anymore. I've stopped watching movies. I am mostly a YouTube watcher.
Wow.
I don't know what happened where, I don't know, because maybe during the pandemic, because I was alone for 18 months basically. It was nice to just have like a connection with somebody on the screen more than like
Interesting.
a TV show that's written and whatever. I like
Yeah.
the realism of
Yeah.
following people around, or I mean, and it's not just theme parks. I enjoy a lot of different things on YouTube,
Sure.
and I
Sure.
think I just enjoy that personal connection. And with that, that's why I wanted to get into it, because I want to have that connection from the other side of the screen with
Sure.
like a community. But yeah, to answer your question, I do think things have changed a lot, especially just even the few people I watch in like the vlogging sphere for theme
Interesting.
parks, watching their subscribers go up in these last 2 or 3 years, seeing how many more views their videos get. Clearly, it has like changed. I
Yeah.
hear a lot more friends, even like this last weekend. I had a friend from Australia here, and we were hanging out, and we were talking about content creation, and he brought up like, oh, you should do like this person. And so like he watches like these same
Yeah.
people that I watch. And like 3 years ago, I feel like I was trying to talk to people about this stuff and no one knew what I was talking about. But like I
That's
find
interesting.
more and more that other my friends are watching these other people now, so they understand like what I'm doing more than I think if I'd even done it 2 years ago. Where that was really interesting to me, because at our age group, we're mid 40s. Sorry to out you, but like when I talk to like old coworkers of mine that are in their 20s, they totally get it right away,
Yeah.
and like my thought was my friends aren't going to get this at all, because when I used to talk about this 2-3 years ago, even my non-coaster friends, they're like, you sit and watch YouTube, like. And when I like announced that I was doing this, it seems like everyone got it, and I think that
Yeah.
shocked me a little more than I
Yeah.
expected. That I didn't get that many questions on like, well, what do you do? Like, what is it? Most people are like, oh yeah, my kids watch blah 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 and this and that. So like, I forget about that because I don't have kids. But if you're watching your kids consume YouTube all day, like
Your
it gets
habits
into
start
your
to
world too.
migrate, I think, when you have kids.
Yep.
But I think also one of the things, this is common too. For those that don't know, I'm chief marketing officer of a bank here in the Midwest, and I've got a staff of 7 or 8. They're all young for the
Hmm.
most part. We bring in a lot of marketing folks young, and I'm looking to like switch cable at my house. I'm trying to get a better deal. Many of you guys listening have been in that situation. So I asked them for advice, and none of them
Hmm.
even consider cable.
Yep.
And it's rare that they have a recurring subscription to Netflix or Max or anything like
Yep.
that. So there is a market for that. And I think you're also talking about the democratization, if I'm going to say that right, of
Hmm.
like there's a market for roller coasters, which
Right.
we may not have known, but that means there's tons of hidden markets for everything.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Yep. Oh shoot, you said something that triggered. Oh, I was gonna say, well, one thing, the only thing I pay for right now is YouTube Premium because I don't want ads.
yep,
But I don't pay for Netflix. I even get free Netflix with my cell phone. I haven't even logged into it.
right.
I can't remember the last time I watched Netflix. So it is interesting. And then the other day I was listening to Pat McAfee, and like I think he's very interesting just because he's
Sure.
really changing,
Yep.
the sports talk game. But he made a comment that 98% of Gen Z males, I think it's Gen Z, right? That's the youngest or whatever.
Yeah.
98% watch YouTube daily.
Yeah.
Like that is a crazy stat, right?
98% is a lot.
98%?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't feel like 20 years ago you could have said 98% of Gen Xers watch TV every day. Like that's
Right.
such a high number. That's crazy to me. Like
It's huge. It's like MASH level, like the TV finale MASH that
yes.
for those of us who are old, remember our parents tuning in like
E-
60% of the country
yeah.
did.
Even
And
Seinfeld, like 100
yeah,
million. I mean, you
yeah.
just don't see things like that anymore. But
No.
this
No.
98% of males in a certain demographic are watching daily. I mean, that is a
Yeah.
big market.
Yeah, I think back to it's like the pandemic turned YouTube from self-help videos like I'm terrible at maintenance, so like how to hammer a nail,
Right.
into like this is my whole lifestyle now
Yep.
and I'm connecting and workshopping with different people.
Yeah, because I watched Twitch before the pandemic. There were a few guys I liked on there that play games because I was a big gamer. I still like it.
Yeah.
I never play anymore, but so I'd been watching there, and I agree with you that YouTube was like that's where I go if I need to fix my garbage disposal.
Yeah.
And then and actually I think these things were out here. We just didn't know, and
Perhaps.
they're just more broad because a lot of these people have been around for years, and like it's just now we're discovering it, and you're like, oh, this is cool, but it it I don't know where I was going with that. I'll have to edit that out. But yeah, I don't know, we got
It's
to
a free
reset on
flowing
that.
conversation.
Yes,
And
so
that's where we'll stop that disclaimer so I don't disclose on any intellectual property anywhere else.
right.
But Um, so I guess one question I'd like to ask is you've actually started doing the thing,
Hmm.
and there were probably other folks that are listening to this or have a business idea, and doing the thing is a lot harder than having the idea.
Yeah.
Is there like a milestone you caught when you were thinking about this that really was like the light bulb? Like, okay, there might be something here.
um There were a couple things. So I did some trips last year, roller coaster theme park trips, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna take my GoPro, and just shoot some stuff and come back and edit it. And it took me a long time to do it, but like I put out a couple videos in the fall, and like they did pretty well for a guy with zero following at all to start a YouTube channel, and like both of those got over 1,000 views within a week or two, which is a lot.
Yeah.
I'm definitely learning that now. So that was like a light bulb that like, okay, I must be doing something okay out there.
Yep.
Then the other one was just the in the fall I got very busy with work, and like one of the ideas I wanted to play with, can I get in the algorithm? That's the whole idea. How do you get in the algorithm?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? So I have these longer videos where I go to the parks, and some parks let you film on the rides, most don't, but
Right.
Busch Gardens luckily does. So both Busch parks I had not only just walking around the park hanging out with my friends, I had on ride footage. So what I did, because I was super busy, but I just took one like Saturday morning, a few hours, and I took those videos I'd already put out and I broke out like the different ride videos, the POVs and some off ride
Right.
footage. So nice little 5-minute video. and I put out specific ride videos. So like Alpengeist at Busch Gardens in Virginia. Put that out. And then so I had it. I did all those. I had like 7 lined up and I scheduled them daily at 7 a.m. just to see what would happen. And by the end of those like 7 days, I was seeing those numbers almost compounding like interest type,
Yeah.
where you're getting more views each day, and then you're seeing they're going back and watching the old stuff too. So those are picking up out. So just seeing that, I was like, okay, I can see how this could work. Um, and then I guess there was a third thing that I kind of hinted at earlier with the travel channel. But back in 2014, I used to do these tours with a company, for roller coaster tours, essentially. So
Yeah.
50, 100 people. We'd ride buses all over, and I'm talking all over the world. We'd go. Like I've been to
This was like
Scandinavia.
a this was like a destination tour, right? You
Yes,
go with
yes,
50 persons. You guys would meet in
yep,
Europe somewhere for a
yep,
theme park visit. Okay.
yep. So like we went to Scandinavia in 2014. There were
Yeah.
100 people on it, and so uh, this group was called Theme Park Review. They're very big.
Yeah.
So like I knew the owners. Like I traveled with him for years, and like he kind of invented the YouTube roller coaster world. So like I
Interesting.
think he's got like 1.4 million subscribers. I mean,
Yeah.
he's pretty big deal. Kind of invented the whole. He figured out POV footage was big. Like he's got thousands of videos, millions and millions and millions, hundreds of millions of views. So like done very well. But I was messing around the one day, um, because we had a lot of time at this one park in Denmark. So I started making up fake roller coaster stats while we were riding the one ride, and like everybody was laughing, whatever. So he said like, "Hey, sit in this chair, and I'm gonna put the camera on you, and you just make things up as the ride's going." So we did it. He put it on YouTube. Got like 30,000 views. Nothing extraordinary, especially for him. But like years later, I'm on Facebook. This is 2 years ago, a year and a half,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I found like a spam thing in my Facebook Messenger. I didn't know there was like a spam folder, and I'm looking through there. Well,
It
one, it had
seems
been
like
sending.
it seems like the spam folder on Facebook Messenger needs to be better. So if anybody
It's
anybody from Facebook's listening,
it's
just hit it.
bad, but like I had actual friends getting things sent in there that I never saw. But then like, and yeah, I was weeding out a lot of the crap. But I had this message, and it looked legit. This
Yep.
r- normal name, and you could tell from the writing it wasn't a bot or something. So I
Yep.
read it. Well, it was this lady, and she used to be an executive producer at this company, and they did all the videos the Travel Channel does for amusement parks and roller coasters.
Yep.
And they saw this video of me because they were looking around YouTube one day, and
Yep.
she wrote me and said, "Hey, we saw this video. We think you're great. We want to fly out here, meet with you. We're considering building a show around you. Would you be
Wow.
interested in that?" So that's 2016, and I read that in 2022.
I
And
see.
yeah, so heartbreaking, but at the same time, it was one of those like, okay, and I looked her up. She was
Yep.
legit. She like
Yep.
now she's out of the industry now. I wrote her back. She didn't write me, but like whatever. But she was
Yep.
legit.
Yeah.
So like my thing was if this legit executive producer who makes this specific content is like interested in me, there must be something there.
It's like a
So
proof of concept for
yeah,
you or something like
basically.
that.
So that had been sitting in my head for the last year or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was always kind of my go-to thing, and then yeah, just those other couple things where it's like, yeah, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
That I think a combination of those three things that were just like, yeah, let's go for it. I think I can do
Yeah.
it. But yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks already, definitely.
I bet it has. We'll talk a little bit more about that after the break.
All right.
So Thad, you've been at this a little while now,
Mm-hmm.
and you've started filming and broadcasting, and we know the market's out there for YouTube viewers and viewers of your content. There's an audience and there's a success path there. What's kind of your next steps or plan to get to that success? What's next?
Yeah, I think that's been the most frustrating thing is because you hear about the algorithm, you hear about all these
Yeah.
things, you see a little tip every once in a while from somebody maybe, but I think I'm so used to, like we talked earlier about YouTube, If I need to fix something, I'm going to go look there. It's like
Yeah.
an information, database. So my first thought is, hey, I bet there's content creators out there showing how to build your brand and like become more successful. And I didn't have much luck finding those people that were willing to say, hey, I'm super successful and here's all the little steps I have to do. A lot of them will talk about that when I get to this tier, how I
Yeah.
made it bigger or whatever, but not many of them talk about, you know, when you had 100 subscribers, and you put a video out and you're just refreshing all day to see the views, and hoping you get to
Yes.
500 views on it or something. So that was the most frustrating thing, and I think that's where you come in, with our friendship, and you actually pitched this to me as an idea, and I thought it was great. But with your marketing background, um, and then you have kind of an interest, obviously, with social media and some sort
Yes.
of content creation with your job, that let's bring you in and try and navigate this together.
Try and answer some questions, I
Yep.
think. And I think one of the things you're saying is something that shows up in the marketing world nonstop. And it's there's this thought that marketing is easy, right? And once you've got an idea and you've made your way to making that idea a thing and producing content and even developing the content creator brand, I mean, that's something that's the first hardest step, is to have a purpose for your brand and to get that foot forward to actually do something about it.
Hmm.
But what does not exist there is a roadmap. You guys don't have, any new business owner does not have a, if I do this thing, that's going to triple my subscribers.
Right.
And if I do this other thing, that's going to quadruple my subscribers or open up third party licensing, anything, what have you. And I think what you're finding is, number one, your content creator peers may not want to divulge success, or they don't know what they did to achieve
I
success.
I could see that because just one example, like I put out a reel on Instagram a few weeks ago. It got 13,000 views.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that same reel went on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and didn't get like
Didn't get any.
200 on either of
Yeah.
those. So it's like the exact same thing here
Yeah.
doesn't trigger anything. Like it so when you say that, like I do wonder sometimes if they
Yes.
really don't know. Like did they
It's
just have one
possible.
viral video that hit and then it worked and then people stuck with them, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn that part.
Yeah, I think I quote Mad Men a lot of times, and I'll try not to do that too much on here, but there's a line at some point where a character says, um, he's frustrated and he says, "Who knows why people do what they do?" And he's the most successful ad executive in the show. And there's always the the notion in marketing that no matter how well you have done something, like if I come up with a bank checking account campaign that seems perfect, it still might miss,
Hmm.
even if we've workshopped the creative, talked to others, and everybody thinks it's a great idea.
Yep.
And I think one of the things we'll figure out as we chat through different challenges you're having or different topics that our listeners suggest is, how do you get as close as possible into the mind of your YouTube viewer or
Hmm.
whoever's watching you on whatever program.
Yep.
And there's some tricks to get there, and that's what we'll kind of ask and answer, hopefully, as we
Well,
go.
and that's the interesting thing because even my roller coaster friends or even my normal friends who
Yeah.
like Disney World or whatever, it's really interesting, when they talk to me about my channel or whatever, and like I have an idea of what I want, and then they're like, "Oh, so you're gonna do blah blah blah," and it's like, well, why would I do something like that? And then you're
Yeah.
like, well, maybe people want to see that. Like, I
Yeah.
guess, because it's like, I know what I want to watch, and those are the people I watch on YouTube. But there's all these other successful people doing theme park stuff who I don't like enjoy watching, but
Yeah.
there must be a reason, and there's a demographic out there. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, just trying to figure all that out is going to be the biggest issue.
And there's always challenges there within authenticity, because even if you know the market, your target market that you're going after, you got to be you at some
Hmm.
level, and so there's a balance there to strike. And you know, I think when I joined Equity Bank, I've been CMO, Chief Marketing Officer at Equity Bank now for 10 years. And when I first got my Chief Marketing Officer job at this brand, there was a request asked of me by a person in the field to produce a video that goes viral. This was not coming from my bosses. This was not coming from, but it was a request coming in from someone on the field. And you know, that's how far we've come, right? People used to think you could go viral
Hmm.
just out of your own genius and engineering, and now we at least know that's not true.
Yep.
But how do we make sure we rise up the ladder into search traffic and into what audiences care about?
Yep. Yeah, I watched an interesting video a couple months ago. He's already an influencer on YouTube. He's like, I can't
Yeah,
think of his name off the top of my head right now, but he's got 4 or 5 million people. He's one of those guys that does like a monthly, like
sure.
30-minute thing. And one of his things was, I'm going to create a sound on TikTok that goes viral so that people like reuse it.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because he had to do it secretly,
Yes.
so people didn't know it was him because he didn't want it to be, because they knew it
Right.
was him. And the funniest part was the first one he did, like he put the least amount of effort compared to his other ones because he did it for a week straight. He put
Uh,
one out, and that one actually went viral, like
yeah.
accidentally. And so, like, he's putting all this other work and effort and thought into these next ones, and they're just duds. And
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I don't know if mentoring is even a thing in this world, but
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna try and figure out, John.
Yeah. Well, I think luck has always played a role in anybody's success, no matter who they are.
Yep.
And so it's about hedging your bets, and fueling the marketing engine around that.
Yep. Totally agree.
Yep. So what do we have in store next time, Thad?
Well, I think next time we're going to talk about my first few weeks, because I jumped in head first once I got down here, and just some of the frustrations and things I've learned, and just my entire process.
Yeah,
I'm kind of rethinking it right now. So I think we can get into that during our next discussion.
that sounds great.
All right.
Well, that sounds like a great way to break from episode one. So I want to thank all of our listeners out there, and as they know, the reason they're here, the reason we're here, is that marketing is a giant task. Whether you're starting your own small business, your own YouTube channel, your own podcast, and there's lots of little steps that make up that giant task. So I'm thrilled to be able to be on this journey with you as we talk through marketing and hear from our listeners. And we'll see you next time. But actually, we'll hear you next time. This is part of the deal with doing an unscripted podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
My name is John Hanley, Chief Marketing Officer,
And I'm Thad, the theme park giant, theme park content creator.
and we'll hear you next time.